Well, hey everybody, how are you? Just sorry I'm about 6, 7 minutes late. We had an absolute sweet thing happen. I am at home today, and a whole bunch of kids and their parents went by in cars, just waving and beeping their horns to those of us who are home and we have all ages in our subdivision, but they're going from subdivision to subdivision, just waving to people and saying we miss you, and to saying that to other students. A lot of the students got together and did this with their parents, so it's really, really cool. Um, I'd love to hear what, people are doing in your area to stay in touch, because we're doing social distancing now, and it's just my husband and my daughter and my grandson live about a half hour away, and we're staying in touch with social media, but that's about it. So what are you guys doing? I want to talk today about the age factor, because it comes up all the time and people are worried about it. They ask me about it. Is age a factor or an issue rather, in breaking into the paralegal field? Well, if we're talking about, it could go either way. I had someone message me on YouTube on my channel there called Paralegal Career Mastermind. Leslie, am I too young to go into this field? Like, they don't get respect from anybody because they're younger. I found it hard to break in as a secretary when I graduated high school with really good skills, but couldn't get a job in that field because I didn't have experience. Sound familiar? There are ways to break into the paralegal field without experience. And it really doesn't have a lot to do with age, whether you're 18 to 25 or you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. Don't let that stop you. Sometimes we can put up the barriers thinking it is an issue, or it might have been an issue someplace else where you worked. I know that I have a friend who had a very nice job in New York City, and when she hit 60, it was as if some switch was turned and they said, bye-bye, time to make room for somebody else, when she was doing her job very well, had great benefits, lived outside of the city, and then she had to scramble to figure out what to do. So same thing happened. My dad was let go from his supermarket management job at 46. It happened with my spouse at 50. Really, he was 49. And we were almost robbed of the pension he had spent 28 years earning, but that worked out to our benefit. So the age in some places does present an issue, but it does not present an issue in the legal field. Why? Well, the thing that you have to do personally is you have to understand, and I tell you this a lot, you'll always see me hold up a Dollar Tree notebook and say, write down what you're bringing to the table as far as skill sets. What is your value? Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. What do I mean by that? If you're coming out of retail and you're like, I need to do something else. I'm tired of being at the mercy of, sales not going well, and then I'm out of a job or I get laid off. That type of thing. I worked as a cashier for a supermarket chain at 16, and then because I couldn't land a job as a secretary, I went into retail at a mall in northern New Jersey and worked there, and I discovered that not only was I good at it, but I liked dealing with customers. Okay, most of them were nice that I worked and served, okay? But if you're coming out of retail, you are bringing customer service skills. In the legal field, we call it client relation skills. Now, if you were sitting in an interview and an attorney said, I see you say that you're strong in the area of client relations, and which is what we call customer service, then what if the attorney says to you, how so? How are you strong in that area? My thing is, you have to be willing in the law firm to serve people. You're not only serving and assisting your attorney, but you're going to help the clients, not in giving advice. In the U.S., we cannot do that. Overall, the attorneys are licensed to do that. We are not. In Canada, it's a little bit different. But here, it is not. It's not allowed. So I would say, and that's one of the things in an interview you always address, is that you have to be aware before you go on that interview of what you're not allowed to do. Because that's an attorney's fear, is that you're going to be a renegade and go half-cocked and go start doing things because you want to help people. You cannot do that in the way you think because you're not licensed to be an attorney. So always remember that. That's straight talk coming from me, okay? But customer service is vitally important in the law firm. Do you need to have worked in retail? No, but if you have helped clients or customers in any way, that needs to go somewhere, or talked about in the interview, okay? And how are you good at it? So write those things down. If you're strong in customer service, name it client relations. Switch it up when you talk to an attorney. And then flesh out, write it down. Why are you good at that? What do you like about it? You can't answer with, well, I just like it. That's not good enough. Dissect it. What about it do you like? Okay. You absolutely have to have office skills. So this, you notice, I'm not saying that you have to be a 25-year-old who has office skills. If you are a 45-year-old or a 55-year-old, 58-year-old, 60-year-old who has tremendous office skills, and you're applying for a job, don't start letting those mind games happen about age. I want you to write down the skill sets you currently have. Do you have office skills? What do you know how to do in an office? Break it down. Break down what you like about customer service if you have those skills. What software skills do you have? Again, am I focusing on age? No. What I'm focusing on is how you can help. How you can help the attorney in everyday office procedures and practicality, the everyday stuff we as paralegals do. We don't stand around for the most part with a law book open. There used to be commercials that showed this. And talking about the law, we call it pontificating about the finer points of Rule 23. I mean, we will talk about things like that, but we are trying to serve the attorney and the client at the same time, trying to put all the puzzle pieces together every day. If you don't think as an older person that your maturity is not valued and that it doesn't play into how well you'll perform, then you really need to take a good hard look at that, because it certainly does. You have seen a lot, you've done a lot. By the time you're in your late 30s, 45, 56, whatever, and you bring that maturity and that expertise to the table. Now, one of my aunts, the one I talk about that's so supportive, she had life changes that threw her major curves. Her husband passed away suddenly from something to do with the heart. just died one night after work in the home, 35 years old. Now she has 2 children and she has to support them. 2 weeks before that happened, 2 weeks later, she was going to close on a house. They had a thriving business that just fell apart after that. So life changes. And how old was she? She was in her early 30s then, with probably maybe 30-ish. I think she was 31 when her husband passed. So paying minimal tuition for school, but just taking care of the household all of a sudden. When there were 2 taking care of the household, now there was 1. And she lived with us for 6 months and then moved to an apartment, trying to pay rent and all of that. And so life continued to throw her curves. And where she worked at the supermarket where my dad was manager for a while, she was transferred to another city and another life curve. And then she ended up, when she moved to Florida, working because she had done bookkeeping for my dad in his office. She became a bookkeeper for a while in a supermarket chain because she had that experience in Oklahoma. So taking what you've already done and seeing if that would play into the legal field. And as long as you have office experience, and you really need it because we are professional administrators. We are handling all of the stuff in the office and organizing everything. Everything. The calendar, sorry, I have a dog barking. Hard files, computer files, all of it. Does age play into that? No. But how well you do your job is important, and your maturity will certainly be an asset. So don't look at it as, and you have faced that, like my friend did in her job. And she wasn't ready to be retired. She was not ready at 60. It's not like that's over the hill. You know, she was working in the IT department and managing the whole department. So for a big institution. So that left her a bit flat-footed. But she could have broken into the legal field at that age if she wanted to. She could have just parlayed all her experience into a paralegal job, but she had to learn. And what I always say is, you've got to watch my other videos. You've got to learn a lot before you think, oh, okay, I have all this experience. It'll be an easy in. It's not an easy in. You have to know how to help the attorney. So research those areas of law you're thinking about. And I don't want to hear, I'm not thinking about any areas of law. Well, that's a red flag for me if you're not. You need to hone in on 2 or 3 areas of law right now that are of interest to you, but also look back at different ads that you see online. Look back 30 days, 45 days. What ads were running in your area? Focus on those areas of law, okay? If you don't know what to focus on, and start to research on Google. Now, in my course, Paralegal Inner Circle course, I teach the practical side of being a paralegal. So I will talk more about that another time. But what I want you to look at right now is I want you to go to my website, paralegalcoffeetalk.com. I want you to look at that list. If you haven't downloaded it, it's a PDF list of a lot of other places where paralegals work that you might not have thought of. And if you look at the top of the website, you'll see 19 alternative paralegal careers list. And then you'll see the free chapter of my book, Legal Break-In. Get that chapter. It's one of the most important chapters in the book, and I'm handing it to you. Get it, okay? Save it on your computer, read it. There's also a goals journal you can download. That's on, you'll see it all at the top of the website. what else can I tell you? You can go to the YouTube channel. You can watch all the videos here. You'll see a tab for videos right on this page. But you can go to the YouTube channel, Paralegal Career Mastermind, and look at a lot of those videos as well. I do have, you know, I haven't gotten a lot of questions regarding age recently, but it's a question I've received a lot, a fear of that you'll be rejected. Yeah, Memphis, that's a great area. There's always a need for that. And that's the other point. If you're going to focus on an area of law, then focus on areas of law that you can think when you're researching. Is this an area that will be needed in the future? Of course, family law will be, right? I'm going to do a video, but it's going to be included in something else. But I'm going to talk about the areas I really, really think will be hot when the coronavirus issue goes and all of it calms down and people are back to work and they're hitting it. A lot of things are going to transpire regarding lawsuits and other areas. And so I'm going to talk about that. And family law it'll always be a hot area, always. It will never disappear. So, and there will always be jobs open for family law paralegals, you know, and so that's a great area to concentrate in. It doesn't mean that's the only area. Okay, but think about those issues. What will be needed in the future? And not just especially after this, but what should I focus on as I go forward? And ask yourself that question. What will people really be needing when all of this craziness settles down? Okay, so I'm going to talk more about that in a video I'm going to do. But it's going to be in my new platform that once I get that, and I'm still working on it because there's a lot to do in getting it set up. So stay tuned for that. But that will be a video that will be there for people, okay? For 2020 and really into 2021. Well, these will be the hot areas, I believe, in law, okay? And family law definitely is one of them, but I have about 3 others that I think will be insane. So, okay, so if you have any questions while you're on here with me, feel free to ask, okay? I don't need to go anywhere right now. If you guys didn't hear what I said in the beginning that came on, I was in the house and I heard a lot of beeping, car horns. Went outside and a lot of students from the area with their parents were driving around with signs and saying that they missed everybody. It brought tears to my eyes. It was so adorable. Hey, Renee. Yeah, Renee says, this is very helpful. I'm 60 and there is a mean little monkey always sitting on my shoulder saying no one will want to hire me because I have no experience in the field at this age. I get excited about possibilities and further education. And then the monkey says, you're already so old. And, you know, I look at my auntie who's 87 and she looks like she's in her 60s. And I have to tell you that, you know, I'm 67 and I don't sit around going, well, I'm pushing 70. I don't feel like it. I have to tell you guys, those who are watching that are older, understand that if you're in your 40s right now and you're thinking, oh man, when I'm in my 60s, I'm going to be ancient. No, you're going to feel like you're 25 or 35. The mind doesn't really change. unless you've dealt with some major health battles, and you feel so tired. Been there. But I felt tired when I was in my 30s from health battles, but from asthma stuff. But no, 60, by the time we're 60, we've done a lot. We've seen a lot, done a lot. There's the work ethic is usually pretty strong, and when I was 18, I didn't have as strong a work ethic, but I was getting there. Yeah, thanks for that, Memphis. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, it can play in our minds, definitely, and other people will want it to play in our minds, but we have to fight through that. It is a battle of negativity, definitely. Definitely one of those battles, but I'm going to tell you this. Once you are in the law firm and you gain, first of all, write down all those things you're bringing to the table. If you're setting a table and you're putting all your expertise on that table, what is that? Make a list, because that's something you have to be able to discuss in an interview. Okay. And what I teach in my class as well is how to communicate it before the interview. Okay. Very important. And you get additional knowledge in my class. Okay. Besides that, but you bring so much. Even somebody asked me once, they were 30 on the YouTube channel, they were 38 and wondered if they were too old to get into the field. So it is our mindset. And yes, it can be another person's mindset. Look, if somebody rejects you in the law firm because they feel you're too old, they're missing the boat. What they worry about with younger people is that they don't have a commitment. They don't have a loyalty. They don't have a focus. And when I'm in an interview, one of the things I say is I'm very focused and very organized. I don't wait for them to ask me about that. I just say that stuff. So, and that's a lot of what I teach you, and what questions they're going to ask and what questions you should ask. And it isn't all about the law firm. Let's switch this up a little bit. This is about you being satisfied with where you're working and who you're working for and with. So I want you to change this up so that it's not the dynamic of, oh, it's all about how they're going to be happy. It's about you being content and fulfilled and happy. Got it? I don't want the focus always to be on what is satisfying the law firm. What will satisfy you? That's why I tell you to research those areas of law and look at what paralegals do in those areas. Google is your BFF. So I teach you tons in my class through over 50 videos and a lot of PDFs and a free Facebook group, that very private Facebook group where you can ask buku questions. But there are hundreds of areas of law that you need to learn about, and I don't mean you need to learn all, but the ones that are popular in your neck of the woods. Okay. It's not that if you say, oh, I want to work in intellectual property and trademark law. Well, is there an attorney working in that in your area? I mean, if you live in a small town like I did in Oklahoma, not hardly, no. So you don't want to go prepare for something and there are no jobs. Now, right now, we're like in a tight mode, right? We're in a batten down the hatches mode in this country. But I'm telling you, it is going to let loose, and I want you to be prepared for that. Okay, my class is going to open in beginning of April. It's coming soon. So that's my ballpark launch date. I want you to be prepared and not sit back and sit in fear thinking that who the heck is going to hire me? When I jumped into the field, I had no idea if anybody would hire me. And I know what that feels like. But I didn't want to sit in fear about it. I was coming out of a very bad job. And I needed to be uplifted and do something for me. And I want you to look at it that way, that you're going to do something you will enjoy. Okay? Oh, thanks, Renee. Thank you so much. I cannot recommend the private Facebook group that comes with the class highly enough. Yes, it's my group. But don't join the class and not come into the group because there's much more additional training. There's more training in depth in the class, okay, other than what's in the modules that come with the class, okay? So remember that if you join up, okay? What else can I tell you? Don't let the age thing stop you. You know, it's the maturity level and us seeing a lot up until that time and then not getting excited when something doesn't go right during the day, that we're going to see it through, we're going to figure it out, we're going to find solutions. At 18, I would have been unnerved. At 20, I would have been unnerved. At 21, I was a mom, a new mom. Not a whole lot was going to unnerve me by that time. Life was a changing. So, oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I was playing around, and I follow a guy on YouTube, and he's from India, and he does a painting every day. So if you see this one right here, this is when I was first doing abstracts. And if anybody's interested in painting, I was doing abstracts with a teacher named Flora, Flora. You can look her up, Bowley, Bowley. She is such a fantastic person. And she was talking about when you do abstracts sometimes and you don't have a plan and you're just putting down paint and messing around. I don't know if you could see that right there. That's a dancing lady that appeared. Memphis, I think I'm going to do it first to second week of April because I'm trying to jazz up my new platform right now. I have to create graphics and put a lot of text in there, and I want to make sure it works right before I let loose because I have other things that I'm going to have with it. So I'm pushing myself right now to get it done. And but this picture, where we go, that picture right there, that's probably 7 different layers. It's just fun. I didn't think I would ever like abstract. I know I'm off topic right now, but it's a good release. I'll show you one here that I've got next to me. Just fooling around with color combinations. I don't know if you can see this. See? And really inspired by sunsets, right? Colorful sunsets. And in these times, if we can like turn to creativity, and if we can focus on, for instance, in this capacity with, oops, what I have on here. There we go. Know what that is. Anyway, oh. Okay. I don't know what that mark is on there. Focusing on what do we have to do to get ourselves up to speed to be a great paralegal. You know, that we're learning a lot before we put our big toe into the water. And what are those things we need to do? Well, one of the things we need to do is line out what we already know and then upping our game. When I talk about going to YouTube and looking up the advanced skills in Microsoft Word and what are they. I mean, you need to do that research. Table of contents is one thing. Table of authorities is another. Merging documents with data is another one. And there were, I mean, I had to have a paralegal sit next to me and help me with table of authorities. So, but those videos are out there on YouTube to learn. Basic Excel. If you have that on your computer, you can learn basic Excel, believe me. It's don't let like a barrier in your head stop you from doing that. I'm not an Excel expert by any stretch, but knowing how to set up a spreadsheet, how to do titles, up at the top, and then how to do titles above the cells, each column, and then moving the columns, deleting rows. Learn how to do that in Excel. Learn how to do beginning PowerPoint. Is that absolutely necessary for the legal field? No. But beginning Excel would be smart to learn. So add skill sets like that to your repertoire. And start, what are you doing then? You're starting to increase your value. Okay, and we go into great detail in the class about the parts of litigation, but specific area, a specific area, okay? And there's some third-party training that I give you. Yeah, Memphis. Memphis says, I have painting like that where the Holy Spirit will paint something unknown into it that was not planned. Yeah. When I was actually in the garage doing that painting, I have an old table out there and the weather was kind of cool, like it was chilly outside, and I wanted to be, there was more space out there. So I was out there and I was just laying down layer after layer, let that dry, put another layer on, and making, you'll see all these, here we go, these marks right here and over there, just playing. And then all of a sudden this woman appeared and she was dancing, and I was like, I felt like the message to me was to keep going forward into what you're doing and be brave and courageous. And you know that song, I Hope You Dance? That's what it was. And not letting the fact that I'm older stop me. When I started making videos, and I was talking about a bit of this topic in yesterday's video, that a little over 3 years ago, January of 2017, I decided, because I felt God pushing me, to start making videos to help people get into this field. And I was fearful of making videos, very fearful of recording them, which I did first, very fearful of course, of doing live. And we weren't allowed to do live on Facebook unless you had thousands of people on your page. So then they changed the rules because competition, like Snapchat, came in and said, everybody can do lives. And so Facebook got really worried. Competition. So, but I felt that, is anybody going to care? Is anybody going to find value in that? See? So I know from whence I speak that I was thinking at 64 years old at that point, that what are people going to think when they see a 64-year-old woman on YouTube? I'm going to tell you that when I do my videos in the car, and most of them are in the car because I have barking dogs. I have a basset right behind me that loves to be with mom, and if he's not, he's going to be outside the door barking. And so I had to go to the car. Actually, the sound is really good in there, but people will ask me, are you, I had one guy say, are you homeless? That's why, do you live out of your car? Well, if I did, that would be okay, right? That would be okay. But no, I said, I do my videos here, and I told him why. He goes, oh, okay, cool. People are just curious. But there are no comments about my age, none. People are looking at the information and listening to the information I am giving them and you to help. So remember that when the attorney is interviewing you, don't go in with a body language that is like, this. You go in with a body language that is, I've got value and you'll be blessed to have my value. You have to think that way, and you have to be in tune with also being where God wants you to be. You don't want to take a job where you see red flags, and I teach you about those red flags. You don't want to want that job so much that you get into a mess. And I teach you about that in my course. So it's very important to protect yourself and to get into the best place possible. As much as you can when you're interviewing, it's not an interview just toward you to find out what you're about. You're going to interview them. Okay? That is so important. You are valuable. And what you bring to the table is not the only thing that's valuable, but you as a human are valuable. And your needs and wants and aspirations and what God has put inside you, your purpose in life is highly, highly wanted and important. So other people may not understand that. That's okay. That's okay. But God says so. God says you have incredible value and that He knew you before you were in your mother's womb. Wrap your head around that one. So He wants you in a place that will serve you as well. Will it be utopia? No. Will it be absolute perfection? No, there's no place like that on earth. That's up in heaven. That's not here. But you can get to, you want to understand what you require and what you need in your workplace. Okay, so very, very important that you require that for yourself. Okay, so any other questions or comments, guys? That picture, which one is it? The one next to my head in the back. That was fun to do. It was just fun. Lots of crazy layers, but doing abstracts, and I didn't know it would feel like this. It's cathartic because just like when we were kids doing finger paints, and you can do that too with abstract, you can lay the paint down and who cares, and people will come up and go, what's that supposed to be? And all I do is turn it around back on them and say, well, what do you see? Okay. So if you feel like doing painting and you don't feel like you're skilled, that's not what this is about. This is about fun and seeing what happens, right? So Renee says, I had a meeting with a young attorney in the hospital network where I work just to talk about the field, etc. I mentioned my concern about age and lack of experience. She said, well, don't you think they're going to be able to tell? Oh, it says, well, don't tell them you're 60 right off the bat in your interview, LOL. I said, well, don't you think they're going to be able to tell, LOL? Well, sometimes, I have an aunt who never, I have two aunts that don't look their age. One is in her 90s and the other is 87. And they look to me like they're, they look about 15 years younger. So I tend to wear, I will put makeup on. I don't dress necessarily. I don't dress younger than I am, but I don't dress I just don't go. My mom in her generation, when they were home, they would wear house dresses and stuff. That's not my thing. I don't think a lot of baby boomers do that. And I definitely am a baby boomer. No, I didn't talk about my age going in there. I kind of would throw that out the window, out of out of my mind, so I wouldn't focus on it, and I would pray before I went in and go, God, show me what you have for me, because I don't know what I'm doing. I did that even after I had experience, like saying, God, I don't know if I'm supposed to be looking for a job. I don't know if I'm supposed to be meeting these people, but you'll tell me when I'm in there. And I would know that I'm not supposed to take that job. I would never say yes to a job when I'm in that interview. Remember this. Give yourself 24 hours and say, well, I need to talk to my whoever it is. For me, it was my spouse. I need to talk to my husband, and they would look at me like and I said, no, I need to run it by him and just talk some things over. And they're going, well, we need to know. And I said, well, can I call you tomorrow morning? And they were like, fine. I didn't need 24 hours, but I needed, I don't know, 12 or 15. So every single one that I required that of, they said, okay. I don't care if they weren't happy about it. I needed space and time to listen to what God was telling me. Should I be there or not? Should I take this job, or did I feel there were red flags? What was I seeing? So Renee says, it's definitely God that brought you to my attention. I don't even remember how. I know how that goes. The class filled in so many gaps, and I'm sure your encouragement is important to so many. Thanks, Renee. I just felt that was my purpose, one of my purposes. And you guys have your own that God has imbued in you and given you. Even if you don't, some of you may not know what some of your purposes are, and there's always, it could be very diverse. It could be multiple purposes. And all the people that are on the front line right now, in this battle we're having globally, look at the purpose that they have in their life. And the purpose that the little parade that went by the house today, that was an incredible thing that happened. It seriously brought tears to my eyes. That was a definite thing that God put them in that place. I mean, people came out of their houses, my neighbors, we all came out and were waving, and we're so happy that they took it upon themselves to do that when a lot of us are feeling isolated. And I have to tell you this, that in regards to the health thing that's going on right now, that as an older person, with what you hear on the media, it can start to make you feel devalued. But I refuse to go down that path and let that play in my own head. That's why I don't want this regarding the legal field to play in your head. I have family in Vegas. I have a cousin who's a cameraman, and he works political stuff, and I don't really know if he works for a news station, but I know as a cameraman, he probably does, and as a cameraman, he will be at the political rallies and things like that and be one of the camera people. But I have a cousin who works for an event company in Vegas, and all of that fell apart. So things will get better. Things are going to turn around, and I want you guys to be prepared for what's going to happen in the legal field. Okay? Openings and regrouping. But I want you to go into the areas that light your fire too. Okay? Oh, I love that, Renee. A house in Renee's neighborhood turned their Christmas lights back on. I think that's such a cool thing, and this artist that I talked about, Flora, Flora Bowley, Bowley, she's offering just twice a week. She's going to have free get-togethers. So if you're interested in what she does, abstract art, or you just want to fool around with paint, she will do stuff. She has a different view on spirituality than I do, but I think Flora is one of the kindest people, and in tune to people's feelings. And so she is going to be on live, and she'll do meditation, but she's a yoga teacher, but she'll do art too. And she'll have segments like that. So you pick and choose what you want to watch in that. But you can go to her website and just put her name in Google and find her. And she'll be on, I think it's Wednesdays and maybe Fridays. But if you get on her mailing list, she'll send you an email, and you'll be alerted to that. And I'm sure it will be on Facebook anyway. So, and it's just good to do something creative, and when you stay focused on doing the things necessary to get into this career, even if it's just for 45 minutes a day, it takes your mind off the nonsense and the craziness that's going on right now. And I'm one that I don't want negativity fed into my soul all day. I don't want it. And so I watch how much news I watch. I want to be up on things, but I'm not going to keep CNN on or any other station, channel on 24/7 where it's feeding into my brain. Watch that negativity. That's what I talk about when you're breaking into the field, that there are naysayers could be around you, or just silence and non-support, which I talked about yesterday. And you've got to keep focused. Keep focused. It builds your character. It builds that tenacity that God's put this dream in you and nothing's going to stop you, and you're going to go forward. And what I always say is this: there are three ways to break into the field. It can be that you have a high school diploma, period. It can be that you have a certificate, a paralegal certificate, or you have a 2-year degree, and you may have degrees in history, political science, English, a degree, and you're like, oh, will this help me get in? Well, let's put it this way. It doesn't hurt, but that doesn't make you a paralegal. You still are starting at the same place a high school diploma, a high school grad would start at. And even a 2-year degree grad is starting at the same place, almost the same place a high school grad is starting at. Because what isn't taught is the practical side of paralegalism and how to communicate to the attorney what you know, and much more than that, how to interview and dissecting the job ads, law office management. And that's what we do day in, day out. We manage that law office. We don't manage other employees, but we manage the work. And it is vitally important to that law firm. So remember that. So if you have organizational skills, that plays in greatly. I'm not like that at home. If I showed you my painting area right here and all the books I have in here, it's pretty organized, but it's not maybe how you would set it up. But here, I'll show you. This is I have a table I bought at Joann's Fabrics. It is heavy, but I'll show you right here. That used to be our TV stand way back. The TV would sit inside there. It is now housing many, many books, which has to be cleaned out. But this table right here, I don't know if you can see it, has lots of paint and a couple buckets, and it is my painting area. In the legal field, I have to be super organized, but here, that's where I let down. I work at decluttering, but having high organization at the house when I do it all day long, I cannot do that. So what is it? I need to have space to not do that. So those things that are totally workable. If you're organized in your work, You'll survive. That's what the attorney needs. But if you hate that stuff and you don't like to mess with paper or organization of any type, then you have to revisit, is this career for you? But if it is for you and you can do that in your job, but you need that letdown like I do outside of work, then you're going to be just fine. And you may be super organized in all those places. And that's kudos. But I know what I need. And that's what I give myself. So don't think that it's like, oh, I'm just not that A personality. I'm not you have to be able to do that stuff to succeed in the legal field. But outside of there, that's up to you. Right? Okay. Well, I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you so much for your sweet comments and questions and being brave enough to express what your fears are about the field and about, whether there's a place for you at the age you're at right now. But I'm here to tell you there is. You've got to meet the other requirements. So put age over there. Don't make age at the top. Put age way over in left field. Here's my left arm over there. Left field. And focus on all of the other stuff where you will bring value to the attorney. What and how are you bringing to the table? Focus on that and how you will help the attorneys in every capacity possible in the law firm, and you will do well. Okay? Don't give up. Better days are coming. And I'm going to sign off, and I will see you in the next live, all right? Take care. Bye.